thoughts you may have.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Pleased to have the Corps and the other entities before us today to talk about, protecting the environment, investing in science, and putting real money toward our crumbling infrastructure. I would just slightly correct the ranking member's statement. It is the highest submission ever. It's $2 billion over what Trump asked for. It's the highest submission ever by a president. All presidents have played this game forever. They know Congress is going to add in more money, but this is the highest starting point we've ever had. So I'm certain we will top the numbers of last year, particularly after 25 years of effort that have unlocked the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund, and we will see the results of that. In fact, I was talking to the Appropriations Subcommittee chair yesterday about there's $400 million unallocated from the unlocked Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund that won't count against her allocations, and I'm hoping to see all of that money spent to begin to deal with our backlog. I wanted to spend the money more quickly. I had to negotiate with two Senate, the Republican-run Senate, two committees. The first committee, we worked it out. We're going to spend the money in 5 years. Then Senator Shelby got involved because the Senate's so dysfunctional, they couldn't pass or even bring up a bill that passed the House unanimously. And Shelby said, no, we're not going to spend that money in 5 years, 10 years. That's how we got to this point. But it is the highest ever submission by a president. Let's see the record corrected on that. It does restore significant funding levels to programs of community level impact, such as flood protection, resiliency to climate change, sea level rise, severe weather events, and other issues. And, I didn't see much commitment to that throughout the reign of the former president and his administration. I'm pleased to see a new emphasis on that. They brought, as I said, a $2 billion lower proposal for the Corps to us last year. Congress fixed that ultimately, but it was not by the initiative of the Trump administration. Simultaneously, they worked dismantling critical laws. The gentleman mentioned the waters of the U.S. I've been engaged in the debate over this issue for a quarter of a century. The rule adopted by the Trump administration removes protections from somewhere between 70 and 80%. They couldn't even tell us in a hearing of the wetlands and waterways in the United States. Now, some on the committee may not be old enough to remember when rivers burned. I do. Some may not remember, because you haven't been out our way, when the Willamette River was an open sewer in Oregon. It's now fishable, swimmable, drinkable. The Cuyahoga doesn't burn anymore. We've preserved critical wetlands for migratory birds and other species, and also they ultimately lead into our rivers and streams and the health of our rivers and streams. We have lost a lot because of the Trump dirty water rule. In fact, I couldn't disagree more with the ranking member. That rule should be immediately repealed. I hate to say it, but the Bush rule to which we would revert is better, way better than what Trump did. And then the Corps, needs to undertake to write a rule that makes sense and works for everybody, including farmers. The first rule in EPA, first rule proposed by EPA was turgid under Obama. And so all sorts of myths were created. It was going to regulate bird baths and puddles on farms and this and that. Under much pressure, they finally rewrote it. And what they finally wrote actually was good. We were holding a joint hearing over in the Capitol with the Senate. And, there was this slide that you guys like to show of a farm field and say, this guy had to go through a full environmental analysis just to farm his field. And I asked Gene McCarthy, the then head of the EPA, uh, what would happen to that farmer under the new rule you're proposing? And she said, oh, it'd be categorically exempt. So actually, we did have a workable rule, and it would have benefited everybody, but also protected critical wetlands and waters. So I'm disappointed they haven't immediately repealed the Trump rule. We're losing wetlands and polluting streams on a daily basis. There are also rollbacks of pollution discharge requirements from coal-fired power plants, and I'm thrilled we've got someone here from TVA today to talk about this. These discharges include arsenic, lithium, mercury, selenium. Um, those not great things to have in our waterways, drinking water or fishable water. So that's not too good. But I've read that the TVA is somehow taking advantage of this rule and continue discharging unsafe levels. And I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope that the record will be straightened out today. And if not, then we're going to want to see that that does happen in the near future. I remember the massive disaster of '08 with the coal ash, where we've lost a lot of contractors who were sent in there to try and clean up that unbelievable mess without proper protective equipment. And more than a decade later, that toll continues. So this is nothing to be trifled with at all. And then one other issue missing from the last administration was significant community engagement. That included all communities, including Native American communities, in terms of moving forward projects which would have major impacts on the environment of these communities. And I'm pleased that the acting assistant secretary overturned one of the last minute out the door policies of the Trump administration to exclude consultation with tribal communities in Clean Water Act jurisdictional decisions. Who thinks that's a good idea? Really? So that's a good step. And I also want to see, because in the Order 2020 bill, I got provisions there to improve consultation. And I'm going to want to hear what the Corps has done to improve consultation. And the Corps also has to swiftly implement the policies which will increase resiliency in projects, utilize nature-based infrastructure, which was again mandated in that bill, options, and provide access to lower income communities to truly maximize sustainable development. So I'm looking forward to this hearing, clearing up some of these issues and questions and laying aside some myths. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.